is not an ordinary time, and this is not an ordinary election. I want to send a message to every boy and girl, and indeed to the entire world, that America already is great, but we are great because we are good. My vision of America is an America where everyone has a place.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You called 50 million Americans a basket full of deplorables. You talked about how blacks and other ethnicities can't succeed or haven't succeeded no matter what the circumstances. We know all the other things you said. So please don't try to sell us on this. And that's what really Donald Trump needs to say tonight. He's really got to hit her on things that the media is not talking about. The emails, the revelations. Joining us now, Michael Reagan. And although you can't see him except for the picture on the screen, I can vouch for the fact that it is Michael Reagan. This phone conversation was not leaked through WikiLeaks. It is real. Son of President Ronald Reagan, of course, political commentator, author of Lessons My Father Taught Me, the strength, integrity, and faith of Ronald Reagan. And you can follow him on Twitter at Reagan World. Hello, Michael.
Hello.
See, I told you it was Michael Reagan. So anyway, sorry for the technical difficulties with the Skype, but that's what happened. So what are you looking for when the debate starts in about an hour and 20 minutes from now, an hour and 40 minutes from now?
I'm looking for Donald Trump to finally get on message after about 3 weeks. Well, instead of just talking to his base, talk to the country, talk to the nation, talk about what's going on in the world that we live in today, talk about Hillary Clinton's foreign policy and what's happened with all the foreign policy in the Clinton-Obama era, if you will. Talk about the Russian reset. Talk about what's going on in Iraq. Talk about all these kinds of things. Talk about the economy, but don't talk about himself. Don't talk about the media. Don't sit there and talk about the election is rigged. If I hear rigged one time, that he tells me the election is rigged, I'm done with Donald Trump. I'm done with him.
Well, you're going to hear the question from Chris Wallace. I could assure you of that.
Well, I could hear the question from Chris Wallace. I want to see the answer because I mean, he is so off message. So off message.
No, I agree.
He's got to get back on message. He's got to get on message, and he has a million people telling him how to get on message. But, you know, I tell you, he is at the point where he might be proving Hillary's point that you can't trust him with the nuclear code.
Well, let me ask you this. You know, we've seen so much from the WikiLeaks emails and so much that the media has not covered. Now we have the Project Veritas videos that we talked about earlier and showed earlier, where two Democratic top operatives had to resign because they were admitting to sending thugs out to Trump rallies to incite violence. Isn't it incumbent upon Trump to try to educate the people about the vicious emails calling, Bill Richardson a needy Latino and talking about Ben Jealous?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know, he needs to stop talking about the media and not putting it out there, and he needs to put it out there. He has 80 million people going to be watching. He could talk about the emails and what they said about Catholics. He could talk about the emails, what it said about Hispanics. He could talk about emails and put those questions to Hillary and put her on what they say her heels instead of him always trying to defend his position, make her defend the things that she's, in fact, put out there.
I want to go back to a Gallup poll, which I believe was in 1980, and it was about this time in the election cycle. And they had Jimmy Carter up over your dad by about, I forget if it was 6 or 7 or 8 points. And, of course, we know what happened. We see national polls. Again, there have been some national polls that I've managed to dissect and even heard from John Zogby that those polls were a farce. So I don't put much faith in all the polls. But having said that, do you believe we could be in a similar situation where the polls are misleading, or at least most of them are misleading, and Donald Trump is actually doing better than the polls indicate?
Well, he might be doing better than the polls, say, because people are afraid to say
right.
Supporting Donald Trump for all the backlash they would in fact get. But is there enough of those people, in fact, out there? Where my father was talking about the economy and talking about, where we were, where we're going, and what have you, and giving you a clear message in that direction. Trump keeps on only talking to his base. He says things to get the base up. And I remember a tweet I put out, 3 months ago. And I said, Donald Trump needs to quit looking for applause and start looking for votes. And tonight he has to look for votes, not applause.
Do you think he did? I think we discussed this. I think forgive me if I'm wrong. I think you agreed that he did a great job in debate number 2, no?
Oh, yeah, no, I think he did a good job. But what does he do the next day?
Right, off message again.
Yeah, what does he do the next day?
Yeah.
Great to have a debate, but then you don't the next day get off message and start going down another rat hole and attacking the media. Let me attack the media. Let you attack the media. He needs to be attacking Hillary and actually telling us where he wants to take America. How is he going to make America great again? And talk about what's going on in the military. Talk about those kinds of things without spending half of his speeches talking about crooked Hillary in that way and talking about the other non-issues that he in fact talks about.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, we're told, is going to be a guest of Hillary at the debate. We know that Patricia Smith, who lost her son in Benghazi, and Obama's half-brother are at least 2 of the guests that Trump's going to bring along. And we're promised by Steve Bannon, reportedly, other surprises. How much does all that stuff matter?
Nothing. I mean, if everybody's really prepared, it doesn't mean anything. They're only there to try and throw the candidate, off message and have them thinking about something else when they're answering, in fact, a question. But all the eyes tonight are going to be, as far as television, are going to be on the candidates. Maybe those in the room might be leaning over and talking about the people that came into the room and the people that they see, but that won't mean anything in a national debate.
Well, CNN just reported that, according to a source, Sarah Palin will also be a guest of Donald Trump. I mean, I don't see any significance in that whatsoever.
Sarah Palin only talks to the base.
Right.
I mean, he spends more time trying to keep his base in line. I mean, the base is like tired already.
Let me ask you a question.
That's why you see his numbers going down.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Let me ask you again. It's the Tim Kaine effect. I think I'm infected. Let me ask you a question. Where someone tweeted this to me, and it's a darn good question. Where's Paul Ryan and Mitch McConnell and the rest of them? If not to stand there and support Trump, then certainly to say what we saw that resulted in the resignation of those 2 Democratic operatives who admitted on tape that they were fomenting violence at Trump rallies in order to help the Democrats. Where's anybody from the Republican Party speaking out about this? If this was the other way around, Michael, my God, Nancy Pelosi and them, every woman in the caucus would have a press conference.
Oh, you're absolutely right. But right now, what they're only thinking about is how do we save the Senate and the House at this point in time. And so they're trying to be as quiet as possible, just like Hillary hasn't been around for 5 days. When Trump have the last 5 days, these guys are doing the same thing. Right now, they're trying to dig in and make sure that their House and their Senate are going to be there. They don't want to be visible because if they bring up the issue of the Democrat Party and what you're talking about, then they're going to be open to other questions about Donald Trump that they don't want to answer. It
really is sad and pathetic. And let me give you another one here. This story Newsmax has, and it's Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor did an interview with St. Paul Pioneer Press. And she said, she was answering a question, rather, at the University of Minnesota at a lecture series, and that newspaper reported, and Newsmax picked it up, that she said that she loved Antonin Scalia. She felt like she lost a member of the family, but that she confessed that sometimes she wanted to take a baseball bat to him. Yet she claims the nation has lost its civility. So in the same speech, she makes these 2 statements, and this is a woman, don't forget, who said that by nature, which is the definition of racism to me, a Latina woman would make a better justice than a white male.
Yeah, and they can get away with this stuff where conservatives have never, or Republicans have never gotten away with this at all. And therein lies your real problem here. And again, there's so many issues that Donald Trump could be really talking about and making issues of instead of the things he's actually going out and doing.
Yep.
And he needs to get back on those kinds of messages.
Yep.
And bring those things up and ask Hillary, what do you think of that? Do you agree with Sotomayor?
Yep.
You think that's right?
That would be fantastic. You know what, Michael? You and I should be writing questions. What could I tell you? Michael Reagan, check out Michael Reagan at Reagan World. And, of course, Lessons My Father Taught Me, the wonderful, wonderful book about his relationship between he and his dad. Thank you, sir.
You got it. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care. All right, up next, the panel with Noel Nickpour and Margaret Howell. You won't want to miss it.